welcome to Your Perfect Cat. My name's Kathy, and this is my very first video, and I'm here to tell you 10 things to know before bringing home a Bengal cat. This is going to be just part one. I'm going to give you 5 things this time, and a second video will have the second half. Okay, this is 10 things to know before bringing home a Bengal cat, and this is part one. I will be covering 5 things this time, and in part 2 we'll have the next 5 things. So the Bengal cat is not your normal cat. They are absolutely gorgeous. There's some really wonderful things about them. They have the softest, shiniest fur you'll ever seen, and they're very sweet, very smart. They're also very high energy, very different from other cats. They're easily trainable because they're very smart. They do have special needs for entertainment to keep them from doing naughty things around the house, and a special diet is going to help their behavior as well. The biggest drawback really is they're kind of expensive. So a Bengal kitten is going to run you anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500 for a pet cat, and if you're interested in having a cat that you can breed, you're going to be spending a lot more. Now back to the high energy, unless you've had a Bengal or been around one, or you have a friend who has one, you probably not sure what high energy exactly means. And I'm going to be covering that here in a little bit. I'm going to show you some examples of the kind of things that they do, the kind of things that they need to kind of get rid of this high energy. You'll find that they don't sleep as much as other cats. They tend to be awake a good portion of the day, and that can include in the middle of the night as well. So, the first thing that's about Bengal cats is they're very striking. They're absolutely gorgeous. It turns out they don't have a lot of wild DNA, unless they're directly descendant from the Asian leopard cat. They come in browns and golds and silver and what they call snow Bengal. There's also a lynx, like a lynx point type Bengal. They can be spotted. They can have rosettes. Rosettes are where you have a dark outline of a spot with a lighter color inside. And they can also be marbled. You'll see there's a silver Bengal in the upper right corner and a golden Bengal in the lower right corner, and the snow Bengal in the center. And on the left is my cat Val, who's a marble. He's considered a marbled Bengal. They don't really call them anything else. He's actually almost sheeted, and if you see him in the sunlight, you'll see that he has stripes under there. They tend to have very shiny fur, and so it looks like they have glitter in their fur. And a breeder told me that the reason for this is that they have hairs that are hollow, and so what you're seeing is the light shining inside the hair, and it looks like glitter, and it's just stunning. You'd have to see it. You can see it in the sunlight where they're very shiny, and you'll actually see what it looks like they're wearing glitter. So the goldish brown Bengals tend to be gold, have gold glitter. The silver ones, silver glitter. And the snow Bengals they're iridescent. It's, I'll have to see in the future if I can get some pictures that actually show it. It's very hard to take a picture of, but it's unmistakable when you see it in person. It turns out that with their coats, the one great thing is they don't really need a lot of brushing. I don't find that my cats shed very much. It's very light shedding, and they rarely need a bath, unless of course they get into something like mud or dirt. The second thing you want to consider before you get a Bengal is what you're going to feed them. Now, Bengals, particularly kittens, eat more than other cats. Uh, Typically, as a kitten, they'll eat the equivalent of what a 12-year-old boy would eat. So that's a lot of food. Once they're fixed or neutered, they don't eat quite as much. If you continue to allow them to eat that much, which some of them will, you will have an extremely large cat and bordering on fat. Bengals do really well on a mix of wet food, raw meat, and dry food. I let my cats have dry food, kind of free feed, if they want. They do get wet food, stuff that I make. It's shredded chicken and raw meat, and I feed my cats cubes of sirloin steak. Any kind of steak will do. You don't want to feed them hamburger or ground meats. They will eat other raw meat. It's not a problem for them to eat raw chicken. They can handle it. And they can eat pork as well. I've had my Bengal Val has stolen bacon from the pan while it was cooking. So Bengals love meat. The one thing you might want to watch out for, particularly with raw meat, is that if you set a piece of meat out to thaw, whether it be a roast, a turkey, a chicken, even steak, whatever it is, you might want to put it away where the cat can't get to it, because they will get to it and it will end up on the floor with your cat, having either taken chunks out of it or licked it. Bengals need very particular toys and equipment. So you want to consider a cat wheel. So on the right, this is my Cheeto Finn, and a Cheeto is related to the Bengal, so he's a Bengal and Aussie cat, and so he is also high energy. But you can see him here on a cat wheel, and this cat wheel is from One Fast Cat. I will provide a link to One Fast Cat in the description for this video. Now, for this video, anything that I have a link to, I don't get anything for promoting their products. One Fast Cat is an excellent cat wheel for the United States. There are other cat wheel makers in other countries, and you probably want to consider getting one locally, like within your own country, because of the shipping costs and because of the size, depending on how these are made. The One Fast Cat is a modular cat wheel. It's something you have to put together, so it does come in a smaller box. But once it's put together, it's together, and it's they're a good about 4 feet or so in diameter. Bengals will love treat toys. You can put dry kibble into a toy and have them chase it around the house. Any kind of toy that they might fetch. Now, the things that my Bengals and my Cheeto like to fetch are springs, these little plastic springs. So a good toy for fetching is anything that they can get their mouth on or around, and it isn't very heavy. I don't find that my cats fetch little toy mice, but they do love the springs. I recommend robot toys, and that is because you will get tired. My cats can play fetch for 20 minutes or so at a session, and sometimes even I get tired of throwing for them, or I need to do something else. So there's a bunch of makers of little robot toys, like little robot mice and different things that can entertain your cat, and it's something that they can chase around, and they absolutely love them. Now, your shy Bengals might be a little bit, even a shyer cat might be a little bit wary of a robot toy at first, but they do warm up to them, and then they chase them wildly around the house. And don't be surprised if your cat picks it up and tosses it. Finn, my Cheeto, does like to throw his robot mouse in the air, and luckily it can take it, and it just takes off and kind of runs away, and then he can chase it again. You're going to want to have cat trees. And you might want to consider some of different sizes and in different rooms. Rather, if you can have more than one cat tree, that would be great. I rent a house, so I'm not attaching things to the walls, which is what I'm calling a cat gym, where you have various shelves or beds or stairs attached to the wall. I think this is excellent. It's excellent for Bengals. I've seen people who've put together entire tracks where their cat can like run along the whole house. Basically what looks like a 2x4 that they can run on. That will keep your Bengal very happy and keep them from being naughty. But instead, I have multiple cat trees. I have one that's 7 foot, I have one that's 5 foot, and I have one that's around 4.5 feet. And I have them in different rooms and in front of windows so that they can watch birds. I put beds on here because Bengals can be, and of course the Cheeto, they can be different size from your average cat. They can be a little bit larger. And so I found that cat beds tend to run a little small. And so I buy beds for small dogs to medium dogs. And it seems to work out really well. They love them. And you'll want to have cat beds in lots of different places. You'll have quite a few if you have multiple cats, but even for a single cat, you're going to want to have several beds. And lastly, litter boxes. Now, ideal, and this is advice that I was given by a cat coach, was to use these storage containers like you see at the bottom here. This one I picked up at Target, and it's rather large. As you can see, it's 23.5 inches wide or long, and it has a height of about 13 inches. And the reason for this is you want to have a litter box that is like 1.5 times the length of your cat from head to butt. We don't count their tail in that. And these do fit that. So this box is for a slightly larger cat, longer cat, and Bengals tend to have that kind of structure. They're also taller, particularly for males. My cats, I've seen them where they like to pee standing up, and that tall wall is going to make sure that urine is staying in the box and not being out of the box. And the reason for it being clear is so that they can kind of see. So if you have other animals in the house, whether it be cats or dogs, the cat is going to be very wary about using the litter box if it can be ambushed or caught in the box. The clear box allows them to kind of see out. They can also pop up their head, but it's also that it's open, so they need to be able to hop in from both sides or from the wider sides. And then you're going to want to have a litter box for every cat plus one, and make sure, and you might not like to have your litter box out in the open, but this is what's best for your cat. So if you start to run into trouble where your cat is urinating or pooping outside of the box, the first thing to look at, other than their own urinary health and general health, is where are the boxes positioned. So one of the main boxes they use all the time is basically in the middle of the living room, and that's just where it is, and it works because that particular position, there's no ambushing. They can see from every angle if another animal, cat, or if it's me, a person, is coming. And so here's Finn on his cat wheel. You can see that he talks while he does it. This is just a moderate pace. He can really get to running. And Val, my Bengal, really goes wild on the cat wheel. You can see the basket of toys in the background. The cats really do like to get into a box of toys and pull out whatever they like. So now we're on to getting along with other animals. So, you know, Bengals can be outgoing, really outgoing, or they can be kind of shy. Your outgoing Bengals are going to be generally good with other animals. They're going to be friendly with strange dogs or cats. They're going to be curious about people instead of shying away from strangers. But shy Bengals, now they're going to need a little bit more time to get to know other animals. They are going to be a little bit more wary of another cat, of a dog, particularly strange animals, and they're going to be wary of strange people. So it just takes a little bit more time for them. You just have to kind of go at the pace of your cat. And it's something that I'm going to talk about in future videos about how to get there, and the kind of things that you can pick up on with your cat's behavior to help you train them. Because even a shy Bengal, they start out that way, but they don't necessarily end up that way. So if you're going to introduce another cat to your house and you already have a cat or a dog, cat introductions can take a few days to even a few weeks. And it just depends on your cat. Now, I feel like I was really lucky when I brought Val as a kitten into the house with, there was a puppy, a Great Dane puppy, and Finn, who was around 2 at the time. It was 4 days, and at 4 days, the 2 cats could be together without a problem. And that's actually quite quick. When you make introductions with your cats, it might not take that long. And sometime in the future, I'll have a video about cat introductions and the kind of things that you want to do, and the things that worked for me. Because a lot of the advice that you get out there about cats, about training cats, or about introducing cats, may not work for you in the same way that it didn't always work for me. And sometimes the things that are suggested, it's like you don't have that, your house doesn't work that way. You can't, maybe you don't have a gate, or maybe you don't have a separate room for a cat, or maybe you do, but there's just different things to consider, and not all cat advice is universal. So, like I said, something I'll tell you about what I tried, what didn't work, and what worked in the future. And the 5th one and last one for this part 1 is that Bengals need lots of attention. And it's actually really hard for me to convey this completely. Most people don't think of cats as needing a lot of attention, and Bengals do. And if you don't, they are going to do some really naughty things. They're going to, urinate and poop outside of the litter box. They're going to fight. They're going to scratch. They're going to climb the walls. Literally, I'm going to show you some pictures of my cat that likes to climb the walls. And it's all fairly normal cat behavior, but you can reduce it by giving your cat a lot of attention. And this kind of attention, it's more than just petting. It's more than just sitting on you. In fact, not all Bengals are going to be lap cats. They will on occasion, and then other times they're just not going to be very interested in sitting in your lap, and you can't force them to sit in your lap. And what I have found is that there are times when, if you read the cat's body language and their eyes, you can kind of pick up when they're interested in spending time in your lap. Now, if you're somebody who moves around a lot, which I tend to do, your cat's going to jump out of your lap. They don't really like that. They want you to sit still. And that isn't always possible. There's things you need to get up and do. But if you keep moving your cat out of your lap, chances are your cat will stop trying to get into your lap. You're training them not to, even though you're not intending to train your cat to not sit with you or sit on you. I think it's really important to talk to your cat. Bengals are one of the most talkative breeds. You can talk to them in your own language or you can meow at them. It doesn't matter. They like it either way. And it keeps them engaged. It's definitely part of the mental stimulation that they need. It's, it stimulates their brain, and that's going to make a big difference on how they behave for you. Now, Bengals, generally, the play sessions are going to be a lot longer than you might expect. My cats play fetch for 20 to 30 minutes. And while that's probably pretty typical for a dog, it isn't always typical for a cat. And not everyone has that kind of time to have a play session for like 20 minutes. And a Bengal cat's going to want to do that more than once a day. If you happen to be home, they may ask to play multiple times. If you teach them to go outside, they're going to ask to go out. They're going to bother you and pester you until you take them out. My cats bring me their fetching toys when they want me to throw toys for them. So, and like I said, this is really important because the Bengal will get on anything. They jump high and they will go and do things that they really shouldn't be doing, things that are dangerous to them. And I'm going to show some examples in some future videos of things that Bengal cats get up to. I'm often surprised, and I've had to what I call Bengal proof my house, and Bengal proofing will be touched upon in part 2 and later in a fuller video of all the things that I've done to try to keep my cat safe and keep the house safe from the cat. So this is what Val's done to the walls. What he likes to do is he likes to jump. Oh, he only jumps up on the walls at the door jambs, and then he digs his claws in to the wood and hangs for as long as he can, and then jumps down. Now you can see that he jumps higher than the light switch. In fact, at times he turns the light switch on or he turns it off, and he might do this at any time of day. So that includes at 3 o'clock in the morning, the cat's decided that he wants to jump, and he turns on the light. Now, unfortunately, I haven't trained him to be able to turn off the light when I tell him to turn off the light. But maybe in the future. And here he is talking, and me talking to him.
Yeah?
You can see him there.
What do you want?
He's wearing his harness, and that plastic odd-shaped thing is a geobit. It's a GPS tracker. And that is all for this first part of the 10 things you need to know before bringing home a Bengal cat. And I want to thank you, and I look forward to seeing your comments. And until next time.